think they started on. Alright, it started already. Alright, aloha. Welcome back. Uh, Today I wanted to talk about gentrification and what's going on. Because people throw this word around, this term, and we see it happening, and we see how it's spread everywhere, and how this kind of like colonization of our communities, it's affecting us. But I just wanted to share my perspective on how I see it, because I just came back from San Francisco today, and I haven't been out there in a while. I spent most of my time in the East Bay and Oakland, and this going out to San Francisco is a totally different experience, especially if you're going like downtown. But I just wanted to share like how I see what's going on, from how I've been watching this my community shift, and now being involved in the overstanding of what's going on in the community, and the global community, or the planetary community, and seeing what's happening. So alright, so everything, this is just like so I was at I think we were at like some grocery store or something, and you see, I walk, so I see like people drive a lot. I see a lot of interactions in vehicles all the time, and in the supermarket, we see like fight wars over parking spots and stuff like that. So one example is how people kill you with kindness, and take that sort of mentality to the most extreme version of understanding what actually like killing, like kill you with kindness. Like they will actually like kill you with kindness, meaning get into your space and just like take out your whole family. That's what's going on right now with gentrification, and we see it as like, oh yeah, on the outside skirts of we see these words and we hear all of these terminologies thrown out there, but we don't really understand the depths of what's going on here. This gentrification of your community is basically a colonization of you and your family, both externally and in your mind. So killing you with kindness is one example. I'll start and then I'll move into what I was talking about. A lot of people interact. A lot of people know what I'm talking about when there's two people fighting for a parking spot, and then one person is just like, oh yeah, it's okay to give you that whole little like, oh yeah. That's the same shit that's going on a national scale and on a planetary scale. It's just people like, oh no, we got it. This is, and then they fucking take your parking spot. They just go in there and take that shit. And then you're like, what the fuck? Like, how? And then other people look at you a certain way when you're like, hey man, fuck you. I don't give a shit how, like, nice you were. You can't just move in there. I was here first. Who the fuck do you think you are? Just gonna drive in here and take this party. So that mentality right there is amplified time to the umpteenth degree on a mental state, and it happens on everything, and like on a global scale. It's just like, oh yeah, well, we'll take care of what's going on with the dollar. We'll take care of you with the community, with your food, with your water, with all this other stuff. We got it. Don't you like what we gave to you? Don't you like what we did? Don't you like what's available to you? And then as long as that storyline keeps getting played and pumped out on the media scene, then and there's enough people. There's like that it's that critical mass. As long as there's enough people that still pay into that shit, that still love that space, that still enjoy that sort of those niceties that are a part of that, without really recognizing how deep it goes. Same thing goes with the word gentrification. People thought the word gentrification was like, oh yeah, I see it, but so the depths. I'll go into that right now. So like putting Whole Foods in the community. And basically Whole Foods is Walmart. But you have to see it that way. But Whole Foods is Walmart. And when you move businesses, corporations into communities, what it does, it just like soaks your community, and it also attracts a certain mentality. So just as and this goes back to like fear. Fear is really amplified on the scale, and fear is a big part of the gentrification movement that's going on right now. So this ties into a video I did before on dogs and the microchip, and how that's related to like how like your perception of God, and how having a dog and allowing your dog to be microchipped will subconsciously allow you to start to accept in a microchip in your space. So when you talk about like warrior mentalities, and you talk about like revolution and what's been going on and what's going on right now, you see a lot of people, the most accepting of so this is all founded in white supremacy. So white supremacy is the big thing that's not getting talked about, because people don't want to talk about racism, and they don't want to offend people. Fuck that. All of this is about white supremacy and the depths of racism and where this stuff originates. It's about hiding what is the man behind the curtain. That's what it is. It's about hiding how deep these stories go, and the people who are involved in this movement. See, it's the nice people. They're not even aware of being used. So people are just as much as Mexican people are being used, and black people are being used, white people are being used too, because white people are being moved into communities thinking that they're doing whatever, and they're being all kind of like universal and being a part of culture. Young white people are being used right now to move into communities. And what happens is, perfect example, you first have a community full of just we'll just say Mexicans. For example, split me into a whole city, Mexican and black people, only Mexican and black people. Now take that, split it in half, and put white people in there, and then you got mixtures of Mexican and black people. So now you have white people walking around doing whatever it is that they do. One example is white people are scared. They are way more scared. They initially take that fear into that community, and they walk around with it. So if they're a part of that community, it's like a fucking antenna. It gets amplified everywhere, and subconsciously we start to engage in that. We have to engage in that fear because it's around us. And we have to adjust to that mentality. We have to adjust to that subconscious sort of those frequencies that are around there. So when you're walking down the street, you got people crossing the street, white people walking their dogs, and then they're crossing the streets because they don't know you might look a certain way or whatever. You know what that does to people? You know how the people who are just normally would be just about their business, but since they're so enveloped with that mentality, it's like it's nice. They think it's nice, like, oh, I'm just avoiding interaction. No, you're being fucking racist. And you don't even know it because you're a nice person, but your privilege is so ingrained in your everyday mentalities that you don't recognize what is going on just beneath the surface, and how that is sending a fucking shockwave out to the people around you. And I say it like this because I mean to put it out there like this, because It needs to be put out there like this. It needs to be felt on a level of emotion so people understand that it's not a joke. It's not nothing that is to be overlooked or whatever. This is a big deal. And gentrification, this is on purpose. This is the main thing. So when communities are torn down, literally torn down, and you ship people from one group out somewhere else, and then you allow other people to move in. This is how gentrification works. You allow so-called allow people to move in, and they're integrating and all this other stuff. No, this shit is fucking planned. This is planned. When they're moving people in, they are moving in a vibration. They are moving in a vibration of fear within the nice scale. And what happens is the people who were already there, their culture, it exists in its own harmonic scale that I'm not saying everybody should be separate. What I'm saying is that with the TV, with the radio, with these billboards and what all this other stuff is doing, it is creating a state of mind that is separating intentionally. And the people who are involved are not really privy to it until they see like how all these dots are connected. So when you move in that fear mentality, and we have like the people who move in are so-called like progressive white people or whatever. I'm gonna use that term because that term needs to be used more and more because white people they benefit from white privilege, but yet want to say they're doing all kinds of other things. And yeah, it pisses me off. It really does. And it's a really touchy subject because you're talking about people who don't really know the depths of what's really going on and how they're being manipulated as pawns in a bigger chess game. And since they're so-called progressive and helping with, the community and engaging within the community and doing such and such, it's like another layer to get through. It's like when you yell at somebody who just took your fucking parking spot and then they're like, I'm such a nice person. What are you talking about? See, that stuff, now that goes back on the individual who's yelling. Now that person is aggressive, they're angry, they're this, they're that. And what people don't realize, because the TV says otherwise, is that this is nature. This is our harmonic interaction. When you come into the community and interact with people like that in our community like this, we flow, we talk like that, we rap, we're rough. And that roughness is not based on anger. It's not based on destruction. It's not based on, all the shit that the movies put out there as what black people are like or what Mexicans are like. Just like Donald Trump's ass and all these other white people running for office. All that shit is a big facade to keep you in that deprivileged state of mind to say, these are your fucking people in power. These are the people who own you. These are your owners. These are the people that are going to be in charge of you forever. So now your hope or whatever, your energy, your whole vibration is put somewhere else. Like your mind state, like people don't even get involved in stuff because their whole energy source, their whole foundation has been taken away. A lot of their culture, their communities have been ripped apart because it's been calculated. These are calculated chess moves, and it's being hidden behind the idea of nice and progressiveness and all this other stuff. And when you look at like the differences between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, you will see like one was for integration, one was for not. Malcolm X was not talking about integration. He's talking about empowering the black race to understand its foundations and where it came from, to understand its potentials. Martin Luther King was saying, and he moved in to understand later on, right before he got taken out, to understanding like the foundations that Malcolm X was talking about. But before that is what's happening right now. This is why they came out with Selma. So Selma came out to reintegrate the whole voting mentality right before, and the integration mentality right before the whole presidential campaign comes out. And it keeps people in that state of mind that takes them out of the essence, the connection to the roots, the connection to the roots, not roots, because roots is another part of that fucking program, that double back magic to keep you from, like, this is your power, this is where you came from, this all the other stuff. No. There were black people here before Christopher Columbus. There were black people all over the world before any of these historical bullshit stories out there. And these are the stories that don't want to get put out there because they're trying to protect this history. I don't want to put it out there as like an aggressive nature as far as fighting one or another. It's about understanding what's the self-destructive natures that are going on internally that keep us from understanding our power. And once we understand how fear is being installed into these communities systematically under the guise of integration and all this other stuff, you can see where this stuff is coming from and where it's going, where it's touching every base. You can walk around in San Francisco, like I was in San Francisco earlier today. I'm gonna see how much time I got. I want to be accurate on this. I'm running out right now. I'm gonna make another video. Peace, love, harmony.